All right, we've got 11 games in the NBA slate this Wednesday, with the premier games being the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. The Los Angeles Lakers going to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers, and I guess the Spurs and OKC Thunder. That game's just on ESPN. We'll get to that one later. You know how I feel about the OKC Thunder if you've watched our daily NBA predictions. And yes, folks, these predictions are out on the channel daily, so make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more, and make sure you like if you are enjoying the daily NBA predictions. Now, I did say yesterday that I was going to get these videos the night before, get these videos out the night before. I've been busy, so this video is going up on Wednesday morning. I am going to try to get the Thursday video up tonight. Today on Wednesday night, getting the Thursday predictions up. There's only, I think, 4 games on Halloween. Yeah, there's only 4 games on Halloween, so I'll try to get that video up later tonight. But for now, here is the Wednesday morning video for the Wednesday games. And let's start things off with our first game being the Atlanta Hawks and the Washington Wizards. But before we get into that, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to check out our college football predictions posted weekly on the channel, our UFC Fight Night Edmonton predictions with Brandon Moreno and Amir Albazi in the main event, and our NFL predictions that will be coming out on the channel later today. Okay, we start things off with the Atlanta Hawks and the Washington Wizards. I refuse to believe the Atlanta Hawks lose back-to-back games in Washington. The Wizards got their game. I thought the Hawks were going to go in there and sweep Washington. Washington got their game. Trae Young had a horrible shooting night, by far the worst game Trae Young has played this season. Still put up 13 assists, but shooting-wise, Trae Young was absolutely atrocious. He shot 20% from the three-point line. He shot 13% from the field. He only had 14 points and 13 assists. That's what Trae Young is going to bring. He's probably going to lead the NBA in assists this season. But yeah, it was a rough night for Trae Young. He's not going to replicate that. And the Washington Wizards are not going to have the same game that they had against Atlanta in the first one. And again, it took Trae Young to shoot 13% from the field, 20% from the three-point line, and the Wizards won the game by 2 points. Again, everything went wrong for Atlanta. Trae Young could not get going. They were really, it was all Jalen Johnson scoring a couple nights ago for Atlanta against that Wizards team. But again, everything kind of felt like it was going right for the Wizards. Kispert was coming off the bench, knocking down threes. And it was just a really bad game played by the Atlanta Hawks, and the Wizards were able to scrape out of that one with a victory. And again, at the end of the game, Trae Young had a chance to win it for Atlanta. Washington got the win by 2. Again, my mindset behind this pick is we're going with Atlanta to kind of just, mop the floor with Washington in the second game. They're getting 4.5 points. I think they will easily cover that. Again, everything went right for the Washington Wizards, and everything went wrong for the Atlanta Hawks in their first matchup 2 nights ago. There's no way we see closer replication of that, giving the Atlanta Hawks to absolutely demolish the Wizards. Again, prior to that game on Monday, the Hawks were playing great basketball. They were running through teams. They were 2-0. I think now they reestablished themselves as, again, a good team this season. I don't know how far the Hawks really go this year, but I do think they're much better than the Wizards. I think they played a horrible game on Monday night, and I expect the Wizards to go out there and pick up a victory here tonight. So give me the Hawks to win, and they will cover the 4.5 points as well. We go on to our second game. It's the ESPN game. We've got the Indiana Pacers hosting the Boston Celtics. This is a rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals from last season. Obviously, the Celtics swept that series, but Atlanta was in that series obviously for a reason, beating the New York Knicks in the semifinals of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And here we go. Pacers-Celtics do it again. And the Pacers have been severely underwhelming this season. I mean, they are 1-3. Tyrese Halliburton has not been playing great basketball so far this year. They had their game where they lost in overtime to the Philadelphia 76ers at home, and they responded by losing on the road to the Orlando Magic. Now, I'm super high on the Pacers. I will always be high on the Pacers. I like Indiana a lot, but even I thought they were going to go to Orlando and lose. They covered the spread like we thought they were going to, but ultimately, again, they lost that game against the Magic. And now the Pacers are staring down a 1-3 start, potentially a 1-4 start as they get the Celtics at home. Again, their only win is their season opener on the road against the Detroit Pistons. Again, Tyrese Halliburton will get going eventually. He had a much better game compared to his rest of his outing so far this season in that ball game on Sunday afternoon against the 76ers, but kind of fell back down to earth for that Orlando game. I don't expect Tyrese Halliburton to stay at that low level. I do expect, though, the Boston Celtics to win this game because the Boston Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference. It's not even close. I mean, Boston is by far the best team in the East. They're 4-0 so far. They beat the Knicks. They beat the Wizards. They beat the Pistons. They beat the Bucks. They're 4-0. I would expect them to go out there and beat the Pacers tonight. Again, just the way the Pacers started the season has not been inspiring at all, and you just look at the way the Celtics are running through teams. I mean, I like Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla, interesting guy. He's calling for, maybe we should bring fights into the NBA. Maybe we should do 5-on-4 like it's hockey and power plays. Joe Mazzulla's got some ideas, and he was, detailing them over the last couple days. But I do, as a whole, like, jokes aside about Joe Mazzulla, I really like Mazzulla as a coach. I think he's got the Celtics going, and I think he's got them playing, the right way. And, you got that 1-2 punch with Tatum and Brown. Everything else will follow through that. I think the Celtics win this game. But the Pacers, I think, are a good enough team at home to keep this game competitive. Again, the last time the Celtics and Pacers played in this isn't a crucial game, but it feels like a big game for the Pacers in terms of their season. Because, again, if you lose this game, you're starting 1-4. At least we just need to see something out of Indiana that's pushing them in the right direction. Regardless, the last 2 times these teams played in an important regular season game was last year in the in-season tournament, where the Indiana Pacers won. In Indiana, the Indiana Pacers won at home the in-season tournament. They beat the Celtics. Craziest basketball game personally I've ever been to. That game was insane. Saw Tyrese Halliburton hit a crazy shot to secure the victory for the Pacers. I don't have much video from when I went, but I have this. Okay, actually I thought it was going to be a lot more animated in this video. Maybe I wasn't. I could have sworn I had a video of me screaming, "Let's go," but apparently I don't. Regardless, it was a fun game last year. The Pacers, regardless of what happened in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pacers played the Celtics close. They should play them close again. The game's in Indiana. I think the Pacers will be able to play this one very competitively, but I do think the Celtics win this game. But give me Indiana to go out there and cover the 7.5 points. Next up, we go on to Philadelphia as the 76ers host the Detroit Pistons. The Sixers are really weird. They're 1-2. Joel Embiid is still not playing, if I'm right. Yeah, Joel Embiid's still not playing. Paul George obviously is going to be out for an extended period of time. But regardless of that, and despite those injuries, the Sixers were able to go into Indiana and beat the Pacers. That was their last game on Sunday. Now they roll into this game with the Detroit Pistons, and they should absolutely roll this team. I get it. The Pistons are playing good basketball this season comparatively to what they did last year, but this is still a team that's 0-4. They've played games a lot closer this year. Don't get me wrong. They've played 4 really good teams to start the season, and whoever made the schedule did not do the Pistons any favors because they started against the Pacers, lost the game by 6 points. The Cavs lost the game by 12, lost the Celtics by 6 points, lost to the Heat by 8 points on the road. Then they get the Sixers, then they get the Knicks, then they do get to play the Nets. But then they go play the Lakers right after that. Again, no favors were done to the Pistons to start the schedule off. I don't expect them to beat the 76ers in this game, especially because of the production we get out of Tyrese Maxey on offense, especially with him being the only, star on this team, or at least the only scorer on this team. Tyrese Maxey, of course, dropped 45 in that overtime victory for the Sixers over the Indiana Pacers. Andre Drummond is just cleaning it up on the glass every single night. Drummond with 17 boards in that game in Indiana as well. I get why the line's only 4.5. It's 3.5 because of the Sixers' first 2 outcomes this season. Losing at Toronto is not great. That was an off night, though, for Tyrese Maxey, and then losing in the opener of the Bucks like we thought they were going to. But regardless of that, I expect the Sixers, they're back at home for this game against the Pistons, their first home game since the season opener a week from today. I think the Sixers absolutely roll the Pistons here. They're the much better team. Tyrese Maxey, again, he is the primary scorer of this team, and expect Maxey to absolutely go off against this Pistons squad. Again, Detroit's playing better basketball this season. They absolutely are. But they're still being matched up, at least early in the season, against these really good teams. And unfortunately for the Pistons, it's just really difficult for them to beat these type of teams like Indiana, like Cleveland, like Boston, like Miami. And yes, Philly's not as good of a team as those 4 are right now. Maybe the Pacers, I don't know, just because the way Indiana's playing. But regardless, I think the Sixers have more firepower on offense, and I would really expect Tyrese Maxey to have a day. Give me the Sixers to go right through the Pistons, and I don't think 3.5 points is enough. Give me the Pistons to not cover, the Sixers to win and cover the 3.5 points. Next up, we go to Cleveland. Okay, LeBron returns to Cleveland. Again, he returns to Cleveland every single season, but this one does seem a little bit different. Obviously, again, LeBron was asked the question in the post-game interview, or in the locker room, after their loss against the Phoenix Suns, and I'll get to that in a second, but there's a reason why this game is in the thumbnail. There's a reason why this game is somewhat hyped up, is because Bronny and LeBron will be stepping on the court together in Cleveland, which is crazy. Back where it all started, Bronny and LeBron will share the court in the Quicken Loans Arena, or no, the Rocket Field Mortgage House, something like that. I think, what is this? I don't even know what it's called now. It's not Quicken Loans anymore, right? It is the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Regardless, LeBron and Bronny are supposed to share the court together in Cleveland. I think that's a big story. The game itself, the Cavs are 4-0, the Lakers are 3-1. So despite the storylines, this is a big game, regardless of LeBron returning home or whatnot. Again, huge game. Cleveland's 4-0. They haven't played the best teams in all fairness. I mean, they beat Toronto, they beat Detroit, they beat Washington, but they really established themselves as a really solid team, beating the New York Knicks on the road like we thought they were going to. Darius Garland put up 34 in that game, and now you get the Cavs and the Lakers. Guys, I'm taking the Lakers. I said at the beginning of the season, I'm probably not going to pick the Lakers in every single game because, the Lakers is just a roller coaster of emotions every single season with Los Angeles. No, guys, this team's different. And I swear I don't always say this every single season, but the Lakers in 2024 are a different team with JJ Redick compared to what they were with Darvin Ham. This is a different basketball team, guys. I know they lost to the Phoenix Suns, but LeBron James played his worst game as a Los Angeles Laker in that game against Phoenix. That was his worst game yet as a Laker. It's not going to happen again. Anthony Davis, guys, right now is playing like the best player in all of basketball. Put up 29 and 15 against the Suns. He dominated against the Kings. That was more of a LeBron night with the triple-double, but still Davis was, producing. That Suns game, the first one, 35 and 8 for AD. The Timberwolves game, 36 and 16. Again, Anthony Davis is going to win his first MVP this season. I'm very confident in saying that. AD will take over this year. And the Lakers, again, are in the midst of a long road trip. They don't return home till November 8th when they take on the Sixers in Los Angeles. They go to Cleveland, and they got a game Friday in Toronto, Monday in Detroit, Wednesday in Memphis, and then, of course, they return home on Friday against Philadelphia. I like the Lakers to beat the Cavs here, guys. I think this is the first game the Cavs lose this season. Again, Cleveland has to lose eventually, and this is where they're going to lose right now. Again, the Lakers, they were competitive and almost had the Suns in that game, and LeBron scored 11 points and did absolutely nothing and played the worst game LeBron has played so far as a Laker. That's not going to repeat itself. The production we're going to get out of Anthony Davis on a night-by-night basis, and I expect the Lakers to go into Cleveland and win this basketball game. Again, I said at the beginning of the year, I'm probably not picking the Lakers in every single game they play, but the way JJ Redick's got this team playing, I'm hard-pressed not to do that. We're taking the Lakers. They will go to Cleveland and they will win. Give me Los Angeles to go on the road and take down the Cavaliers. You can keep your points. Give me the Lakers to cover 5 and obviously win the game outright at plus 160. Next up, we go on to Charlotte. We've got the Charlotte Hornets taking on the Toronto Raptors. I don't have much to say about this game because these are two low-level teams, even though I think the Charlotte Hornets are in a much better spot than where the Toronto Raptors are. For Charlotte, this is a team that is 1-2. They won their opener in that huge comeback game against the Houston Rockets, but then they've dropped back-to-back games at Atlanta against the Hawks and that home game against the Miami Heat. This team is all LaMelo Ball, obviously. I want to shout out to Nick Richards, who's been doing an excellent job coming off the bench, or I guess in replacement of Mark Williams in the starting lineup. Still no Brandon Miller for this Charlotte team as well, but I do think it should be enough for them to beat Toronto. A, this game is in Charlotte and not in Toronto, so it's a huge boost for the Hornets. And B, again, Toronto is still very injured. No Emmanuel Quickley still. Scotty Barnes will be out for this game. Bruce Brown is not playing. Jacoby Walters still not playing. And Kelly Olynyk's not playing. I mean, who's their number one option? RJ Barrett, Grady Dick? I just don't think these guys are going to be able to propel them to victory over Charlotte. And again, I don't think the Hornets are the best team this season, but on paper, when you look at these two squads, no Scotty Barnes really affects the Toronto Raptors. I mean, that is the biggest loss that you can possibly have if you're Toronto for this game, and I expect Charlotte to absolutely run through them. I mean, you look at the line, again, Charlotte's getting 6.5 at home. I expect them to cover that line. LaMelo Ball has been playing lights out in every single game he's played this season. He had 34 and 34 in the first 2 games of the year, then 27 in his last one. Again, LaMelo is everywhere on the court, and again, we say it every time about the Hornets. It's the same effect that the Grizzlies have with John Morant. There's a different mindset that the Hornets have, that this team has when LaMelo Ball's in the court. When LaMelo Ball, their leader and their star, is on the court, the Hornets feel like they can win basketball games, and that's what's going to happen against the Toronto Raptors. They're going to go in there and they're going to blow out this team. Give me the Hornets to dominate. No Scotty Barnes for the Raptors. That means no victory. Give me Charlotte to absolutely dominate at home. Next up, we go to Miami. We've got the Heat taking on the New York Knicks. I'm going with the Knicks as road favorites to win this game. I get it. The Knicks are 1-2. The Heat are 2-1. I just have liked what I've seen out the Knicks so far this season. They've played 3 really good basketball teams this season so far in the Celtics, Pacers, and Cavaliers. Jalen Brunson has led this team in scoring every single game they've played just yet. And for Miami, they're 2-1, but I'm not impressed with what the Heat have done so far this season. I mean, again, they've got a 20-point loss to the Magic in the opener, an 8-point win over the Charlotte Hornets, and then an 8-point victory over the Detroit Pistons. I don't know. I'm just not that big on Miami so far this season. Everyone's healthy for the most part for this Heat squad. I get it. I just think New York's the better team. Again, everyone should be healthy for the Knicks as well. When you match these two teams up on paper, I get the games in Miami. The Heat never have the biggest home court advantage because their fans sometimes just don't show up. I expect the Knicks to win this basketball game. I think it's going to be close, and I get it. The Knicks, are 1-2 this season, but look at the levels of competition they have played. Jalen Brunson still hasn't had a crazy game scoring just yet, and Karl-Anthony Towns, again, is only averaging 15. That number has to go up. Cat is going to start sinking down his shots from 3, and Cat's only going to get more familiar and more comfortable playing for this Knicks squad as well. I expect the Knicks to win this game. Again, they're 1-2, but they've only played tough teams so far this season. There's a reason they're the favorites on the road, and partially, yes, it's because I'm not sold on Miami yet this year either, and again, I think a lot of people are not sold on Miami just yet. In the Heat haven't beaten a really good team so far, and I think they're gonna have to wait. I don't think they're gonna beat this Knicks squad. I think New York is better. Give me the Knicks to go on the road and take down the Miami Heat. We'll cover the 1.5 points as well, but give me New York to win and again to cover as well. Next up, we go to Memphis. We've got the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the second largest favorites tonight. Yes, there's a larger favorite later on in the video, but we got the Memphis Grizzlies at home against the Brooklyn Nets. The Grizzlies are getting 11.5 points, and I think the Brooklyn Nets cover. Because, guys, the Nets are playing great basketball right now. I get it. They're going to have some injuries for this game. No Nick Claxton, no Duron Sharp, no Bojan Bogdanovic, no Ben Simmons. That's okay, because Cam Thomas keeps this team in games every single night. And Dennis Schroeder has done a really great job for this Nets team as well. Hell, Schroeder wants to smoke with everybody. He wants to smoke with fans, after the game. He wants to smoke with Pat Connaughton because he kind of got pushed, kind of hit in the face, even though I don't think Connaughton was, trying to do that a couple nights ago. But regardless, the Nets are playing great basketball. They've been good enough to cover pretty much in every single game so far this season. They're 1-3, sure, but they've killed everyone this year in terms of who bets against them on the spread. Last night against Denver, game goes into overtime. They almost had the Nuggets. The Nuggets had to come back and win this one, but Denver wins it by 5 on the road. 144-139. The game before that, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They lose the Magic before that. They lose to the Atlanta Hawks before that. That's fine. Again, the Nets have been able to just cover in every single game they've played, and I get it. Nick Claxton is a huge part of that reason because he plays really good defense. Claxton's, evolving his game on the offensive side of the ball as well, and he's able to pull down a bunch of rebounds too. I get that, but I think they are able to hang a little bit with the Grizzlies. I don't think the Grizzlies are 11.5 points better than Brooklyn. I don't think they are. They haven't won a game, obviously, by more than 11 points this season. Actually, no, they beat Orlando by 13, but still. I get it. The game is in Memphis, and it is the second half of a back-to-back for the Nets, who just played at home yesterday. Now they have to go down to Tennessee to play this one. I just don't think Memphis is 11.5 points better than Brooklyn. Again, Brooklyn's shooting and the offensive production that you get out of both Schroeder and Cam Thomas keep them in games, and it's to the point where, I don't think they're going to beat Memphis tomorrow, but I think they're able to stay competitive with this Grizzlies team and keep this game close enough. Again, Memphis has injuries. No Luke Kennard still. No Vince Williams. We will see if John Morant plays. I assume he's going to, but still, it's not like Memphis is completely clear of these injuries as well. I think Brooklyn stays in the game. Again, I do think Memphis wins it, obviously. But give me Brooklyn to stay in this game because, again, Cam Thomas every single night is going to put up production for this Nets squad. 26 points last night against the Nuggets, 32 against the Bucks, 24 against the Magic, 36 against Atlanta. Expect Cam Thomas to have a big night and expect him and Schroeder to just keep them in this game. Again, the Grizzlies are the better team, but they are not 11.5 points better than the Brooklyn Nets. It's going to be Brooklyn to cover, but Memphis to outright win the game. Next up, we go to Chicago. To the United Center, we have got the Chicago Bulls at home against the Orlando Magic. We are going with the Magic to win, but we're going with the Bulls to cover. The Bulls are one of my teams, man. I'm just like, it's a sneaky good team this season. Unfortunately, Lonzo Ball has a sprained wrist now, so Lonzo's going to be out for a couple weeks. That sucks because Lonzo just came back. and now he's going to go back on the injured list for a little bit. Regardless of that, Zach LaVine has been playing incredible basketball this season, and again, y'all must have forgot about Zach LaVine, and maybe again he just doesn't get the notoriety that he deserves because of his contract situation, because he is getting paid so much. But hey, the Bulls are paying him, and Zach LaVine is doing everything the Bulls are asking him to do, at least so far this season. I want to give a shout out to Josh Giddey. Guys, Josh Giddey gets too much hate. He's a good basketball player. He really is. And Josh Giddey is still a young basketball player as well. He fills up the stat sheet every night. Right now, Josh Giddey averages 14, 7, and 6. Those are really productive numbers out of a guy who is your starting point guard and is going to continue to be your starting point guard on your team. I really like the production you would get out of Josh Giddey. Kobe White's playing a tremendous 2 right now. Vucevic is playing well at the center position as well. And Zach LaVine, obviously being the leading scorer of this team, is producing as well. And I get it, the Orlando Magic are really good. They're another one of these teams that I'm super high on. They play great defense, and Paolo Banchero obviously is the leader. Banchero's coming off a 50-point night on Monday against the Indiana Pacers in that 4-point victory. And expect Banchero to have another big night, because that's how the Magic operate. Again, Banchero in his second season is only going to get better and only going to improve as the leader and the star and the all-star of this Magic team. But again, think about the defense this team plays as well. They should be able to shut down Chicago in spots. I think the Bulls do keep this game competitive enough. I think you see a game that does go somewhat down to the wire because this game is in the United Center, because it is in Chicago. I think the Bulls are able to keep it close, and I think you get something kind of along the lines of that Pacers game with Orlando, where the game is close, but the Magic just find a way to pull it out in the end. I think Orlando does win this game, but I do think Chicago keeps it competitive. Again, I simply just think 5.5 points is too much. Give me Chicago to cover the line, but give me Orlando to outright win the game. Again, it's in the United Center, which makes me want to pick the Bulls a little bit. We have taken the Bulls as big underdogs before. We just did take them in that game against the Memphis Grizzlies to outright win it. I kind of want to pick them again, but we're going to go with the Magic to do it. But again, I am kind of intrigued on picking the Bulls like we did on Monday night. Give me Orlando to win, but we will take the Bulls to cover the spread. Next up, we go on to OKC. It is the other game on ESPN between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Guys, this one is a National Blowout Association game. The Thunder are going to run it right through the Spurs. The Spurs, they did all right in their back-to-back games with the Houston Rockets. They've only played Texas teams so far this season, losing their first one to the Mavs, then beating the Rockets by 3, and then losing the second one to Houston in a game where Victor Wembanyama had 20 rebounds. I just think they're outgunned in this Thunder game. Again, I talk about the Thunder every single day that they play, and I speak very highly about this Thunder team for good reason. I think they're the best team in basketball right now. I really think they are. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is really establishing himself as a true superstar in this league. Again, just look at what he did in that game against the Hawks. We marked it the game of the day, and OKC ran right through Atlanta. The Thunder haven't played a close game so far this season, guys. And now they get a team which, yes, San Antonio's improving. I like what they're doing with, Chris Paul and Wembanyama and Champagnie and whatnot in this lineup, and Sochan as well. I like what San Antonio's doing, but they're still the Spurs. They still need time to develop. And on the other side of things, they're going to Oklahoma City, and they're playing the best team in basketball and the deepest team in basketball as well. It's rough sledding for San Antonio in this game. That's just the way I'm going to put it. Again, Shai in that game against Atlanta, 35, 11, and 9. He's a very good player, man. SGA is a baller. That's what he is, and that's what he does. And Chet Holmgren as well is only going to improve, and he's only going to continue to be the number 2 for Shai. Jalen Williams in the starting lineup as well. I love everything the Thunder do. I love the bench production. Again, I come on here every single day and speak very highly of the Thunder for good reason. Right now, they are my picks to win the NBA championship because of how deep they are and because of the next steps that Shai and Chet are taking this season. And they've already now had their playoff experience. They're only going to continue to get better. Give me OKC. They are the biggest favorites tonight. We talked about how big of a favorite Memphis is. No, OKC's an even bigger favorite. They are getting 13.5. They're minus 1,075 on the money line. They will cover the spread because this will be a blowout because OKC is that good, and they will win the game outright, obviously, as well. Next up, we go back to San Francisco. We have the Warriors and the New Orleans Pelicans. Guys, if the New Orleans Pelicans lose this game, they are officially on the banned list, okay? I'm officially done taking the New Orleans Pelicans if they cannot win this second game against the Warriors. They have to get it done. Have to. If they don't, I'm done. I'm actually done picking the Pelicans from here on out. They have killed us too many times this season. The first game against Portland, they don't cover. Second game, they lose to Portland. Last night, no Steph Curry, no DeAnthony Melton, no Andrew Wiggins, and they lose. Buddy Hield puts up 28 and like 17 in the fourth quarter. I mean, New Orleans in the first quarter was doing exactly what we thought they were going to do to the Warriors without Curry, without Wiggins. 31 to 14 was the first quarter. I saw the score. I was like, all right, don't need to watch this anymore. Halftime, game's close again. I watched the second half. Oh my goodness. It was, it's horrible. All of a sudden, New Orleans goes ice cold in the fourth quarter, and Buddy Hield's hitting every single shot. But what the Pelicans can't continue to do is let Zion score 30, Brandon Ingram score 30, and then everybody else not score 10 points. Herbert Jones, you're not out there for your offense. I don't care. Daniel Theis at 5 points and whatever. CJ McCollum, 5 points. Jose Alvarado, 6 points in 22 minutes. Hawkins, 4 points in 26 minutes. You go 0 for 6 from the field. We can't have that out of these guys. These guys need to step up. I'm sick of the Pelicans. So I am imploring New Orleans to finally step up in this game against the Golden State Warriors. You cannot lose back-to-back to this Warriors team that are missing Wiggins and Steph Curry and DeAnthony Melton off the bench. You can't lose back-to-back games. You can't have it. Season over for the Pelicans if they can. I'm joking, but still, no way it happens back-to-back nights, right? Buddy Hield is going to continue to sink these shots, and he's going to continue to go crazy for this Warriors team. It's what the Pelicans do to stop it. Podziemski with 19, Moody with 17, Lindsey Waters, the former Oklahoma State Cowboy, off the bench with 21 points. The cum bucket, Jonathan Kuminga with 17 points. You gotta stop the shooting. You gotta guard the perimeter. I think the Pelicans make the necessary adjustments. I don't think they fall to 2 and 3. I think they get their get back here against the Warriors. I don't think the Warriors are that good. I think the Clippers kind of exposed Golden State. I think the Pelicans are going to win this game. And again, I'm not that high on Golden State this season. Give me New Orleans to win. They'll go on the road and they'll win the second of this back-to-back slate here with the Golden State Warriors. As we go on to our final game, we've got the Los Angeles Clippers at the Intuit Dome trying to get their first win in their new arena against the Portland Trailblazers. And again, I mean, they're in the perfect spot to finally get that first win because they are playing the Portland Trailblazers. I'd expect the Clippers to win. I think everyone expects the Clippers to win this game. After losing their opener in the Intuit Dome against the Suns in a tightly contested game in which they lost in overtime, they won back-to-back games on the road in Denver and on the road in San Francisco against the Warriors on back-to-back nights, like we called that Warriors game. As plus, 400 dogs, we called the Clippers to go out there and win that game. And I expect them to absolutely steamroll the Portland Trailblazers. Why? The Trailblazers are the worst team in the Western Conference. Somehow, some way, they were able to stay competitive twice against the Pelicans, win the second game against the Pelicans. But now I'm starting to realize the trend. They got blown out against the Warriors, blown out against the Kings, but played 2 competitive games with the Pels. Guys, the Pelicans just might not be that good. Maybe I'm the last one to realize that the Pels actually aren't that good of a team, but they're just not. So give me the Clippers to absolutely steamroll the Trailblazers. I don't think this game's competitive at all. I don't think it is. Los Angeles is the better team. They've got more depth. James Harden has been balling this season. Again, Kawhi Leonard will have to come back eventually, but it's not going to be for a while, so get used to this in Los Angeles. But Norman Powell has picked up the slack a lot. Powell's been averaging 25 so far this season. Zubac is averaging 23. Yeah, you'd like a little bit more production everywhere else, like out of guys like Amir Coffey, who I played in 2K once, guys like, Derrick Jones Jr. Actually, Derrick Jones did a great job, but, maybe you want to see some more production out of these guys, but Los Angeles is way more equipped to win this game than the Trailblazers. They're only getting 9 points. Guys, when the Clippers go up in this game, they're gonna continue to go up by even more because they are looking to secure that first victory in the Intuit Dome. They're trying to impress the home fans for the first time in their wall, as they're calling it, as their super fan zone called the Wall in Inglewood as well. Give me Los Angeles to absolutely dominate the game. The Trailblazers have nothing for them, and this is going to spell a big losing streak now for the Blazers. They got to play the Clippers, then the Thunder, then the Suns. Maybe the Pelicans finally beat them. They go to San Antonio, and they got to play the Timberwolves, then the Grizz, then the Timberwolves, then the Timberwolves. Yeah, I think the Trailblazers are horrible and the Clippers should absolutely destroy them tonight. So folks, thank y'all for watching our full predictions for every single game in the NBA slate on Wednesday. We'll be back again later tonight for the Thursday predictions. My apologies again for not getting this video up earlier, but again, we'll try to get them up the night before. Today's the exception. I think this one should be going out pretty early though, so you don't have to watch this 3 hours before the game. So folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.